So now we are going to hear from our wonderful speaker who is going to tell us all about the recent happenings with property and casualty insurance. Jennifer Dittman, please come up and share with us. Okay, is this working? See if that's working.
Is it working? Okay. Hello, I'm Jennifer Dittman, and my company is Brightway, the Dittman Agency, and I have two offices here in Florida. One is in Oldsmar and one is in Lake Mary, but we do write the whole state of Florida. I'm sure everybody's seen the news here lately of all the nice, fun stuff that's going on with homeowners. You know, this is Florida, and it is what it is. I'm keeping a positive attitude. Being an independent agent, we do have markets for homeowners. It may be sometimes kind of trying, but we can get pretty much somebody insured. We work with our clients to make sure that they are covered, that they have what they need. These days, you probably know that roofs, they want newer roofs. So if a house has a newer roof, you know, that's a plus. Some of the companies have gone to, they only want houses 5 years and older. Our probably hardest thing right now are homes that are over, you know, $900 to $1 million. But again, we do have markets and we do have availability, and that's what comes with being an independent agent. Like I said, Brightway, I am a franchise owner with two offices, and we have not as many companies available as we did before, but I just encourage anybody to get with an independent agent, somebody that has more markets that can help you, somebody that knows the industry. I've been in the industry since 1995, so I've seen a lot of changes. So what's going on right now is difficult and different, but it isn't going to, you know, sustain. Just like our economy, we all work through it. We all just get through it and do the best we can. But today I kind of wanted to talk about with realtors, how you can help your clients so that they don't get to the closing, or they can get to the closing without insurance stops, because insurance can make or break a deal. And we've seen this with the flood insurance, especially the flood back in October. They changed the flood zones. They changed the way they rate flood. They did a lot of changes. And some of the flood went down, but most of the flood went up, especially we're on the coast here. You know, maybe the flood interior Florida is, you know, less, but as you can see, when we're on the coast, you know, we pay for it. The one thing is, during hurricane season, you want to make sure your clients get their insurance as soon as they know the closing date. So the first thing when they're going to make an offer on a house, you want to get with their insurance advisor, and they want to know, you know, what's my insurance going to be? Can I find insurance? What do I need with the house? You know, do I need to, you know, have the roof updated? Do I need to have the electrical panel looked at? For most homes over 20 years now, companies are requiring 4 points. We always recommend wind mitigations, because that can save a client thousands of dollars if your roof's been replaced since 2002. So these are all things. So you want to have a good home inspector. That's very important. And again, you want to work with an insurance advisor, somebody that can help you walk through this. A lot of times realtors will get a listing and they'll call me and they'll say, hey, what flood zone? What is my insurance? What's the insurance going to look like on this house? So we can do a mock proposal, and that way at least you know where it is, because a lot of times they get to the closing and they get to the mortgage, and now the flood insurance is, you know, $10,000 a year, and that's going to throw everything out. So you know, you want to do that before everything gets too far. And sometimes it's a deal where you can negotiate with the seller if it needs a new roof. You know, you can make those adjustments because it's important. And like I said, during hurricane season, it's really important to get the insurance in place, because if there's a tropical storm or a hurricane threat to Florida, all the companies stop writing. It doesn't matter if you've got a closing next week or tomorrow, we can't do anything. We're totally shut down. And the way it has been now is we used to have a box we could look at. And so we know when the hurricane or the tropical storm is getting to the box, but now We had companies shutting down this year when it was like way off the coast. There was just a possible threat of it hitting Florida. Well, companies are scared. So what they're going to do is they're going to stop writing any new business. So if you've got a closing going, you want to make sure that, you know, you've got your insurance set, because if it's bound and there's a hurricane today and you have a closing today, if your insurance is bound, you're good to go. If you haven't bound it, you're going to have to be stuck. We've had people with furniture on their trucks that are stuck because they can't close because they didn't get their insurance done in time. So, you know, we always encourage people to not wait in this season. It's very important. You always want to keep your insurance agent in the loop. Sometimes we get closings that happen and we don't know it. So we may have the insurance, or don't happen, and we may have the insurance in place for July 15th and it's July 20th, and you know, the home doesn't close. That insurance is still in place. So you want to make sure that you keep your agent in the loop, let them know if the closing date changes so that the paperwork can be done. Now, say we bound a policy for July 15th. The closing didn't happen until July 20th. But in the meantime, we had a hurricane. We can't make any changes. So you may want to close with the 15th date. So there are things to do. So even if you have it in place, the closing date changes, as long as it doesn't, you know, we can't backdate anything, but we can always do things. And that's why it's important to keep your insurance agent in the loop. Like I said, the newer the roof, the better. Companies right now are going insolvent. As we see, we've lost, I think, 4 of them this year already. There's some that are going to be downgraded. Once they're downgraded, then they're not going to be eligible for the mortgage, and it's a whole thing. We don't know what's going to happen today, or today's Wednesday. Yesterday, they were supposed to release 17 companies that were going to be downgraded to an S. And what that means is the mortgage company doesn't accept it, then all these people would have no insurance and it would be forced placed. They didn't do that. They're re-looking at it again to see what they can do. So we try to keep up on all this stuff, but to be honest, I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I do know they're not going to let the economy collapse. They're not going to just, you know, so just hold on and just status quo and work with somebody that's experienced and can get this stuff done for you. As you probably all heard, Citizens Insurance, which is not really an insurance company. Citizens is a last resort company. Up until a year ago, I had probably 4 people in Citizens, just because there wasn't any place else to go with them. Now it's like one of the major companies, which is really kind of sad. They have gone, they're over 1 million policies now. We don't want Citizens to be our insurance, but we do need it right now to get through this part. So what we do with our clients is, if we have to write them in Citizens, when something opens up, we try to get them out of Citizens to get them into a different company. But here's the thing, the premiums on Citizens are way lower than any of the other companies, which shouldn't be. Citizens should be the highest priced insurance, and it's not. I had a house yesterday I quoted. It was $4,500 was the cheapest any of the insurance was. Citizens was $2,400. So, you know, we give people options and we let them know this is what you're giving up. This is what you're gaining. So, again, you know, it's always good to work with somebody that knows the market. And there's a lot of people in this market that do know it. Yes. Because they can only, okay, she wants to know where it came from that Citizens should be the highest versus everybody. And what has happened is, because it's the insurance of last resort, it's backed by the government, by us, by the people. But what happened is they're only allowed to take a 10% increase per year. All these other companies are putting in for 20, 30, 40, 50% increases, and they're getting them. So they're way up here, and Citizens can only go 10% at a time. And that's crazy. They should be the highest one. But again, you know, we can't outprice everybody, so they can't own a home either. So the statistics show the average homeowner insurance price in the nation is $1,500 a year. The average homeowner's premium in Florida is $4,500 a year. So, I mean, we need our lawmakers to do something. We need the insurance companies and the roofers and all these people that are making our lives miserable. They all need to work together, and they need to make some laws that will make this craziness go away. And it can be done. But again, you know, there are options. You know, we work with people and tell them, you know, do you really want this part of your, you know, this is the important part. You want your house to be rebuilt at replacement cost. That's the other thing that's driving up the prices, is because now with the way the economy is, it costs a lot more to rebuild a house than it did a year ago. So we're finding also a lot of houses are underinsured. And how do you say to somebody, okay, well, we want to increase your building costs, but that's going to increase your premium. I know you just had a big increase. It's really difficult being an agent. We're just kind of in between. We just try to direct people and do the best we can, and listen to people yell at us because we made the rates so high. Believe me, you know, I do not want the rates to be this high. And I mean, people go, well, you must be making all this money. No, they also take it out on us because they reduce our commission. So, you know, it'd be nice if we were making a lot more money, but we're doing a lot more work, just like everybody, which is fine. You know, I'm in it for my customer. I'm in it to make things happen. That's why I've been in it for so long. That's why, you know, I've been through all kinds of stuff, which is really fun. Just like all the realtors have gone through, it's like everybody had buyers and then there's no houses, and it's just the way the world works. And you just kind of go on and do the best you can and make it through. And the strong people will make it through and the not so strong won't. So, you know, you got to just look on the bright side of everything. There's always opportunities there. Everything brings an opportunity. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. The one thing about flood insurance, we'll go back to that because we've seen a lot of areas that had their flood insurance changed. Now, the one thing about flood insurance or about flood zones, everybody in Florida is in a flood zone. It just depends if you're in a low risk zone or a high risk zone. The lower risk zones they call X zones. The higher risk zones are usually the A zones. And those are going to be required if you have a mortgage that you carry flood insurance, at least to the maximum amount that FEMA allows, which is $250,000. So what happens when they take an X zone and now it's an A zone? So now they need insurance. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the area up at Holiday Lake Estates in Pasco County. They're just little houses up there. Most of them are rentals. That flood insurance up there, because it was an X zone, now it's an A zone. So people didn't have flood insurance. Now their flood insurance is anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a year on like a $200,000 home. It's really causing, you know, so who's buying up there are investors that don't have mortgages because they don't carry flood insurance. Now, if you run across a home that the flood insurance, when you get the quote, is really high, talk to the buyer. Flood insurance can be transferred. And so how that works, when in October, when they redid the rates, anybody that had a flood insurance policy then, I don't want to use the grandfathered, but their rates will only go up 18% a year to the max of where it's at. So if this home, when the flood insurance say was $2,000, now when we re-rated with the new flood, it's $4,000. That $2,000 policy will go up 18% a year till it gets to the $4,000. If it's a seller, they can transfer that to the new owner. So they get that benefit of only the 18% per year increase, which is huge. So if you're listing a home and it's in a flood zone, ask the buyer, you know, would they be willing to transfer their insurance? And they won't get any money back from FEMA, but usually what they do is at closing, the buyer, just like with taxes, credit the person. So there are ways to kind of cut through that. We also have private insurance flood insurance. So if you have a home that's in a flood zone, get quotes, see what the buyer's paying, get quotes, get private quotes, FEMA quotes. I've saved people $10,000 a year. You know, some of them we can't, you know, it is what it is, but we can get the lowest rate out there. We have all kinds of different options. So that's what we try to do. Home insurance though is not transferable. Now, this is what I kind of see sometimes is a buyer will say, well, here's my insurance. It's only $2,400 a year. And so if you go to rewrite that policy, it might be $4,000 a year, or it may not have had the increase, or it may not have the correct coverages. So you can never really go by what the seller's insurance is. And sometimes that will also kind of set people back. That's why you always want to get an insurance quote, you know, and, you know, kind of, I have realtors that call me on the weekends, hey, you know, and I can run a quick quote and say, well, this is about what it would be. And so that way their buyer knows, okay, I know this is what my maximum is going to be, what I'm going to have to pay. Because it's always good to know. To be in the know is important. Other than that, and just getting wind mitigations, I mean, I could go on about insurance for hours. There's just a lot, but I encourage anybody that has any question to give me a call. I'd be glad to discuss it and, you know, let you know what's going on in the market. Help you with any flood zones. You can call me. I can do flood zone searches in a matter of minutes. You know, our thing is to help people get into the houses they want at the most reasonable price. And again, I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If anybody's got any questions. All right.
Questions going once?
Going twice.
Will the insurance, or should I say, have the insurance in the past gone up similar to how it's gone up now and then come back down, or does it only go up and then stay there?
Oh, hold on. The question was, our audience couldn't hear the question. The question was, has the insurance in the past gone up like we've seen it now? Was that it? Did I get the question right? No?
Has it gone up similar to how it's gone up now? Did it come back down to a reasonable rate, or does it stay up and continue?
Okay, so the question is more, has it gone up and stayed up, or has it gone up and come back down?
Okay, it has probably not really gone down, but it's never been this high. But I can tell you the companies that have gone out, the first companies that went out had the lowest rates. So if it's not priced in the marketplace, because insurance companies pay insurance called reinsurance. And so when an area gets dicey, then their insurance goes up, and like anything, they pass it down to the customer. It's never been this high. I'm hoping they'll come up with probably what they did before. Is that's when they came up with the wind credits. So if your house was, these things were done to it, it can bring the rate down by thousands of dollars. So, and the older the home, sometimes the more expensive the insurance is at any point. But it's probably going to need to come down just because it's crazy high. I mean, some of these policies, I don't even know what to say. I'm embarrassed to you know, tell people. It's like, well, your policy is, when it comes up for renewal, some of them are doubling, depends on where it is. So,
Well, Jennifer, didn't flood insurance do that though? It went up really, really high, and then it balanced back out and came down to a more affordable.
what flood insurance did is see the FEMA flood insurance is backed by the government. They took the backing away, and that's when we all paid regular rates. So if you were on the coast, your rates were astronomical. So they put it back into it's subsidized by the government, I should say. The rates are subsidized by the government. So so they did go up, but then they came down because then they subsidized it.
Oh, another question from Kendall.
Good follow. So part of the reason why insurance over the past year, or inflation, i.e. the cost of materials to a home, that cost comes down. Doesn't the insurance also adjust with it, because now the home isn't as expensive to rebuild somebody's catastrophic happen?
Okay, so the question was, okay, how do I repeat that? Insurance is going up because inflation's going up. with materials are going up, and as material prices
going up, with materials are going up, and price
would that then bring the cost of insurance down?
No, it would probably bring the rebuilding costs down, which would bring the premium down. But
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Premium.
yeah, so sometimes most of our policies have what they call inflation guard in them, where every year the rebuilding cost goes up. And sometimes in the past, we have redone the replacement cost estimator. And if it goes down, it would go down, but the rates are high because of a lot of roof fraud. Everybody wants their insurance company to be a maintenance policy and wants to pay for their roof. Well, these companies can't, these, when you have tires on your car and you need them changed, you don't call your insurance company. Your car breaks down. It's not a maintenance policy, but that's our biggest deal right now. It's not even the storms. And then we have they'd had like $3 billion was paid out in litigation last year. Yeah. So if the insurance company says, no, that's wear and tear on that 20-year-old roof, it's not the rain we had last night, then they go and get an attorney, and the insurance company has to pay for the attorney. So now this $20,000 claim becomes an $80,000 claim. So the insurance company said, well, do we want to replace the roof and just move on, or do we want to fight it? So they've got to do something somewhere along the line to stop that, because that is what's hurting the most is right now. It's not the storms. We haven't really had any bad storms, and so like I said, the companies we've seen go under are usually the companies that their rates were really, really low, or their rates were really, really high because they're trying to get some surplus going here. So.
Hey, Jennifer, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, it's Stephanie. Sorry, I had to turn my video off because it's being really weird with that on. But I was just going to mention too that a lot of people don't realize that insurance not only follows you as the individual buying the house, but it also follows the home. So if the prior owner did have a recent claim, that can affect your rates and your options. So just for people to remember that, just because they're like, oh, well, all of this has been updated because the homeowner had a claim last year, doesn't always mean that's a good thing for you.
And that's Stephanie. Stephanie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Stephanie Breedlove with Hub International.
She also does insurance. So, yeah, and because they run clue reports, which all the claims come in. Yep, exactly.
The question was, is the government done with the flood maps? Rezoning the flood maps?
Yes and no, because we never know what our government's going to do. Historically, yeah, they should be done. Like in Oldsmar, where I'm at, I can't even believe those were all X zones there on the water. Now they're all A zones. The bad thing is those houses were built before 1974, before the flood came in. So their insurance also is very expensive. So yeah, and when they do that, we get enough notice that like they don't come out tomorrow and go, okay, we're going to reevaluate. So yeah, but you can always call and I can run a flood determination for, it's all up to date. Yeah, we're like on the minute. That's why I said it's hard to say with homeowners insurance. They're changing their their underwriting requirements every day. We used to have a book that had all the requirements. Now it's like, okay, because so that's why I said I always work with an insurance advisor.
Jennifer was also saying she is in the know and she makes sure that she gets the word out there when she hears things are going to be changing. So that's the whole reason we have our group, and that's the whole reason we have great people like Jennifer as part of our members.
Right. And I even had News Watch 8 came out and did some interviews on our office about flood insurance. We're right there in Oldsmar, so we do keep up to date. So
Okay.
everybody, thank you for your time and appreciate it, and give me a call if you ever need anything. Thanks.